You and about 10 other fellers sailed down to California with Slaker.
They bought a herd of Longhorns and headed for home.
Believe me, that weren't an easy trip.
In fact, a lot of folks figured they'd never make it.
That's right, some of us just prayed a lot.
Then one early morning in October,
when the leaves on the old oak trees were turning color and beginning to fall,
you could hear a low, long rumbling sound way off there in the distance, sounding kind of like thunder.
And the ball and the calves.
The shouts of the riders as they turned the stragglers in. Yes, sir, over 600 head of cattle, good cattle, were grazing on the rich grass of French prairie.
And Hoodie, I think, was there to meet him.
None other than Dr. John McLaughlin himself.
Even he'd invested in the great gamble.
There was no telling what would happen when Ewan and Dr. John met up.
Ewan Young? Yes, Doctor? I say this gladly. Well done, sir. Thank you, sir. I've received a personal letter from Governor Figueroa of California. It clears you of all charges.
Well, now, that's more like.
I'll do all I can to see that the people of this valley are informed of its contents.
Oh, and Doctor, when you come to take your share of the herd, you can take back the cows you so kindly loaned us. We won't need them anymore.
I can see that, Mr. Young. I'll send for them tomorrow.
Ewan never would forgive nor forget the shame and dishonor that he felt McLaughlin had brought to his name. Well, and then came a fella that few would ever forget, Joseph L. Meek. Now, Joe Meek was a mountain man in every sense of the word, but the mountains had changed since the days of Lewis and Clark. Joe knew that, and so did his friend, Robert Doc Newell.
Joe? Why, Joseph L. Meek, you old hide skinner, you would know what was good for you if it stepped up and bit you on the leg. Time to be moving on, Joe. Things is changing.
I reckon you're right, Doc. Things is changing. Why, just look at these here empty traps.
Can't fight it, Joe. It's too big for any one man to fight. Why, we're done with this life in these mountains. Done with wading in beaver ponds, freezing one day, starving the next. Done with Indian trading and Indian fighting. Why, the fur trade's dead in them mountains.
I reckon that's true. No place for us now.
Let's go over the Willamette and take farms.
Farms?
It's quite a settlement over there made by the Methodist Mission and old trappers like us, retired from the Hudson's Bay.
Well, the Willamette, isn't that McLaughlin's territory?
Listen, Joe, I've been talking to some Americans who've gone over there. That country's going to be settled by our people. McLaughlin and the Hudson's Bay Company aren't going to rule much longer.
I sure like the sound of that.
Well, what do you say, Meek? Shall we turn American settlers?
Well, Doc, whatever suits you suits me, but what about my wife and baby? Except for my traps here, they're all I got. I can't leave them behind.
Well, you can drive one of the wagons. Bring your family and your traps along. You won't be sorry. It's good land, Joe. You'll see.
So it was Joe Meek and Doc Newell who first drove wagons down the old Oregon Trail.
From Fort Hall to Fort Boise and on to the Big River.
the Columbia. Yeah.
Breaking trail most of the way.
In and out of canyons.
Over rivers.
Across deserts and mountains.
Through sagebrush, higher than a horse's head. Here, Joe tells me.
By the time he reached the valley, it weren't long before folks knew all about Joe Meek and his tall tales.
Only if you call me Uncle Joe.
See, I told you so. Uncle Joe, tell us about mountain men and Asian fighting and bear hunting.
Whoa, you done struck my memory bone talking bear hunting. Come on over here. I'll tell you the story of the three bears. Well, I reckon it were about my second year out in the mountains, 1830. That was before y'all was a twinkle in your pappy's eye. Well, we was trapping beaver up along Yellowstone, me and John Hawkins. Went heading back to camp, we spotted a big old grizzly bear on the other bank. We took our rifles, we shot that bear, and he dropped right there in his tracks. There were a fur piece across that river, and we wanted to fetch ourselves a trophy.
Ew, like maybe his head or his tail.
No, more like his claws or his teeth, something we could carry back. We had to swim across that icy water, you see. Well, We tied up our mules and we left our rifles. We stripped down just our birthday suits. Left only our knives. But we swam across to where that bear lay dead still. You can believe we were surprised at what happened next.
Oh, tell us what happened, Ghost. Did it drown? No, silly goose. If he would have drowned, he wouldn't be here.
I'll tell you, that bear was just plain possum. Instead of being dead, he jumped up and lit right after us. Why, you should have seen two naked men run. They were a race on life and a close one, too. While the bank were deep in the river steep, and we didn't hesitate none, not no angry grizzly on our tails. We plunged right in, swimming hard against the current. Now Hawkins, he swum downstream, and I swum up. That bear turns his head upstream, his eyes on me. Well, the current were too strong for him.
I bet you swam mighty good.
You bet I did. Now that Hawkins, he made it ashore first. He gets over on the opposite bank over there. He starts a whooping and a hollering so as to scare that bear. And sure enough, the critter gets out on the opposite bank. There we were, 3 bears. 1 bear on one side and 2 bears on the other.
Joe Meek, you're telling those tall tales again.
Well, what do you mean tall tales? I only speak facts.
Oh, like that 80 feet of snow you walked through in the winter of 30.
That were the winter of 31, and I reckon it were 80 feet. No, it were 180 feet.
Uncle Joe, tell us about engines. Yeah, Uncle Joe, tell us about fighting engines.
Well, there were that one engine I cut his throat from ear to ear. And that Blackfoot warrior I hung up by his heels and cut his tongue out.
These children those tall tales.
Why, Joe Meek, you'll be scaring the pee-wadding out of these young ones. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm trying to raise my kids, Chris.
You'll be giving them nightmares.
Youngins, I'll be telling you this another time. I got a wolf beat to do it.
Here, let's get down to business. I tell you, it's a shame. Why, just the other day I was over to the range and found 2 calves killed by wolves.
Same thing happened to me. I lost one just last night. I lost a critter, too.
Why, the only solution is to get the farmers together this spring, form a hunting party, and go after them.
I understand that some of our settlers are having problems with predators.
I'm getting mighty tired of the wolves living off our livestock simply because the winter has made the food scarce in the hills.
They know that if they need any assistance from my trappers, they can let me know. I'm sure that we can take good care of them.
Predator problem? It's just another reason for the local farmers to gather so they can discuss the forming of a provisional government under the American flag. That's the only reason for their so-called wolf meetings.
I am aware of that, Thomas. I am well aware of that.
Then why don't we do something to stop them? Cut off their trading at the fort. Something.
We'll have plenty of time to do battle with the Yankees later. Aye, plenty of time.
By the way, you ain't heard from Ewan Young? Yes, I understand he's still powerful sick. I hear he's got the consumption.
We're going to have to pray that he makes it through the winter.
Yes.
Ewan didn't make it through that winter.
Ewing Young died February 16, 1841.
You might be interested to know that the very next wolf meeting was held at Ewing Young's funeral.
Most folks just couldn't believe he was gone.
He'd always been so strong, so powerful, so full of energy and life.
His leadership would be sorely missed in the valley.
Have you told them about my people? Once they were many and powerful.